Got an Imperial Stout coming in today. That's what we're brewing. Just heating the water up for the sparge. Got a grain bill here, quite a big grain bill for a 25 litre batch. Mash tun. With a manifold. Got the hops ready. Got Apollo hops, East Kent Goldings in the boiling, also for aroma. Should be a good brew day. I don't feel great today, I don't feel very well, but if I don't brew, I don't drink. And it does take ages to get it ready. So if you brew it, you know, you're looking at a month and a half before you're drinking it. So you've got to get on with it. Nearly up temperature. We're going to strike at 75 C. Right, get back to you when I start doing the adding the grain for the mash. Right, I'm going to add the grain now to the sparge water. We don't want dough balls. I've only got this small container because I've got icing glass in my large one. It's going to take a little while, but we'll get there. Stir this in a minute. See how it's starting to form a bed on the surface. We don't really want that, so I have to stir that in. Get your stirrer. And get that stirred. Should really run through some of my equipment. This mash tun I got from Costco. It's a 58 litre tun, 62 quart. I think I paid £40 UK, about that, which is cheap. You go to a UK shop and buy something like this, probably be 60 to 80 quid. If you buy it from a homebrew shop as a mash tun, it could be 200 quid. It's best to just make your own. It's getting thick now. The recommended Beersmith mash water was about 19 litres. I've put more than that in. I've got about 24-25 in it because I knew with this grain bill being heavy it would be too thick. And the way it's looking, I might add a little bit more water. I think I will. Right, Imperial Stout, sparging through. Coming up to the boil now. It's got a lovely stout look about it. Gonna get a hot break. Hopefully it'll be a good hot break. Well, it will be a good hot break. Burners are flat out. Just got to control it when it boils. I've got a good head space in this pot, so I should be okay, but still got to stir it. Stir through the hot break. Just about to hit boiling. You'll see a roll in a second. Let's wait for that roll. See if we get that roll. There it comes. Started rolling. One good vigorous roll though. I see the hot break actually. It's a nice dark, rich stout, this one. See the foam starting to form? Got to stir through the foam. Stir through the foam. Keep breaking the foam and letting the heat out, because it can't escape with a foam lid on it. That foam's your hot break. Once it's broke, it'll settle again. That's why it's good to have some headspace in the pot so your foam can rise without you having to turn the heat down. But sometimes you have to turn the heat down. Let's change hands. I mean, that foam's deep now. I'm not even in the liquid. There we go, breaking its back. Starting to break its back. See that? Foam's starting to go. If that boiled over, it'd make a right mess, sticky like honey, all over your floor. I know most people brew outdoors, but I don't have that opportunity. Just it, dissipated. That's the hot break. Now it's time for the hops. Let's do our hop additions. So we've got Apollo. We've got a vigorous boil going on there. These other hops I've put in are East Kent Goldings. Man, that smells good. Oh yeah, you get some more foam, but I don't think they're going too much. Oh, that smells good. Oh, that smells good. That smells good. Well, that's going to be a very vicious boil, but I've got so much water in there, I need to boil it right down. So I'm looking for more strength. My original gravity post-boil, pre-boil, was 10.48, which is well below what I'm after. This is going to be a big beer, a really big beer for me. Biggest beer I've ever made. Right, see how it goes. Right, while the boil's running, I thought I'd come out and have a pint of Wobbly Leg. You'll see this on my channel if you look for my other brews. First one this year, Wobbly Leg. It's got a nice head on it. Not bad head retention. It's lovely and clear, as you can see. It's got a bit of carbonation in it, but I do like a bit of carbonation. I don't like flat. Well, so I don't like flat beers. I do like flat, but the way I keg this, the kegs they're in, it's not easy to keep this at a lower carbonation because you don't, you worry it could go off. Cheers. That is an absolutely fantastic pint. Absolutely fantastic. Really pleased with that. Have a look at High Wycombe across the valley. I suppose we could do a Wobbly Leg taste test now. I would say this beer is subtle. It's got a subtleness, you can taste caramel in it. It's really blended. It's using Apollo hops. Just it's fantastic. I get a lot of people, a few people come around there and I give them beers. They've been trying some other beers, they all want the Wobbly Leg. This is a definite brew again beer. This could even be it's at 5%, and I reckon this could be an easy autumn beer, winter beer, coming back into spring. Absolutely lovely and clear. You can see right through that glass. lovely. I think I put the grain bill up for this one on the video. So if you ever want to brew something that you can be more than averagely happy with, I would say it's one of my favourite and best beers I've made. So for taste wise, I'd give it out of 100, probably give it, because I can't cap myself up that high, but you never know what you're going to make next. But I'd go with an 85 easy, 85, 87. It's excellent. And for drinkability, the same. It could be up to 92 for a drinkability. It's a fantastic beer. Highly recommend the Wobbly Leg. If you want to brew it, you'll find it on my channel. I've given you the grain bill. I've given you what you need to do, and you can if you want to recalibrate the size of the brew, because this is a 50 litre batch, you just have to find software out there. I recommend Beersmith, and you can recalculate your brew sizes to give you the right measurements for your recipes. I wasn't feeling very well when I started brewing today, but a good beer always makes you feel better, I think. Still got head on it, good lacing, so it's laced down nice. The head's still there, as you can see. It's a lovely pint, I'm telling you, absolutely lovely. See through that really well. I know not everyone can get the clarity. I'll tell you how I do it. With clarity, I have tried gelatine, but I didn't do it properly. I just didn't know what I was doing, but I've learned a bit more about it. I haven't tried it again yet. But what I have been doing is buying auxiliary finings, which is a liquid, putting that in the start of secondary. So I put it in the bottom of my secondary, then I rack in from primary on top of it, and then I dry hop it, usually for about 7 days. But now I've learnt to cold crash. I never cold crashed before. Put it in a fridge. I first did it outside here on this table when the temperatures are about 1 degree, and I left it out here for 2 or 3 days, and it dropped down. And after I left it for that long, I put isinglass in it, which was already mixed. So I mixed it as a powdered isinglass. I mixed it with water, left it to settle for about 24 hours to let the air come out from blending, and then I added that to it, left it again for 24 hours, racked it into the kegs. It was, well, I'll say it was absolutely clear. It wasn't. It had little lumps in it, but I like to filter everything I do, so I just put a bit of filter gauze on the end of my siphon. Not at first, mistake, don't do this one. Don't put it on the siphon end in the fermenter, because it doesn't draw. It just won't draw through. Put it on the end of the pipe inside the keg, or wherever you're putting it, into a third for a bottling fermenter or kegging. Put it on the end of your pipe going into that vessel, and it can't clog then. And then you'll be surprised when you've finished doing it, racking it, it'll be really clear. Take the little bit of gauze off, whatever you're using. I use a pair of ladies' tights, and I sterilise that. And then you could squeeze out the crap that you suck through. You don't want that in your beer, so. And then when I've finished a keg with this clarity, they're dead clean, my kegs now. I bought a filtration system. It's just basically a canister filter, 10-inch canister filter, and I haven't used it in the beer because there's no point now. I mean, I could never clear beer, but cold crashing is the key. So I'm using it now to filter my water for my brewing to start with, It's got a 1 micron canister filter in it, tube filter, and I've tested it by doing boil tests. I've filtered tap water, which I live in a very chalky area. The Chiltern Hills is very chalky around here, and I did a boil test, 600 millilitres for 5 minutes from when I started the heat, and you could see the massive amount of chalk coming out of the water. It'd been on a hard roll boil for at least a minute, and then I put the filter on it and did the same, and it's over I'd say a third of the chalk come out of it. It's really taken it out, so it's a big improvement for me. Another option I've got is I've got a spring not far away, but it's still got chalk in it. Now I have been to the spring and taken water out, and I've got a blonde beer that's just kegged, and when that's ready I'll be doing taste tests on that, and we'll see what it comes out like. But that comes from the spring in the local river. But we know there's no chlorine in it or anything because it's not treated, so that could be a difference in taste. We'll see. Really, I'd have to do the blonde again without that water to see the major difference, but I could just do what I've got now and see if it tastes any different. Get a good view from up here. The old bird's nest view. As far as I know, that's the only Pizza Hut with the shape of a slice of pizza. But the sad thing is everyone on the ground can't see the roof, so they don't know it's shaped like a slice of pizza, but it is. Pizza shaped Pizza Hut. Anyway, as far as the Wobbly Leg goes, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This has been in the keg, I'd say, could be a month now, 4 weeks. It's really, really mellowed out. It's really nice. Another thing, when you're brewing, don't drink your brews too early, because you're going to have all those flavours that haven't really mellowed out yet. So there will be a conditioning time that you need to sort of try and adhere to. I mean, our minimum I do is 2 weeks, but then that's still too early. Give it a month, 6 weeks. I know it's hard to wait, but if you can brew enough, then you can have so much, you will end up having that time. Absolutely fantastic. If you can just leave it, get on with it. Look at this. This is my glass. Great British Beer Festival, largest real ale beer festival in the world. I have to say, ashamedly, did 9 hours at this festival, and there's 800 plus beers there. We tried to get through them all. We don't even remember how we got home. I mean, 9 hours of drinking. It wasn't pints, obviously. This is the glass you get. As you can see, there's measures on it. So you've got your pint, your half pint, and a third of a pint. We were doing thirds of a pint and seeing how many we could get through. We must have gone through at least 30. It must have been 30. And we don't know how we come out of there. We don't know how we got on 2 or 3 trains to get back. And we don't remember any of it. I think I lost my bag 4 times, and my mate had to keep on going, "Where's your bag?" and I had to find it again. Definitely going again this year. Absolutely fantastic. If you want to try beers that you know that are hard to get from around the world, go to the beer festivals, and especially that one. Wow, if you're in the UK, you've got to go to that one. Right, enough said. See you later. Enjoy the review. Right, back to the brew. You see how much that's evaporated? A lot. Now I'm going to let it go down a bit more, because I don't need that much. I'm only doing a 25 litre batch, so with losses in the kettle and in the fermenters I want to end up with 23 litres. So I've put the chiller in. That's starting to sanitise now. I don't know if any of you know this, but you see the copper? the copper difference of the colour in there to the colour inside the actual kettle, totally different, because it strips off some of the copper. Not like, you know, not like it takes the copper off, but it does take off stuff, the oxidations and all the stuff off the copper. Now that helps. The yeast needs that. The yeast needs coppers off the copper, and it helps it do its job and give you a better work. I don't know how it works, I've not looked into it, it's just something I've read. But copper is good. That's why the original kettles were copper, because it does do something to the actual brew. It's not just because it's made of copper. I mean, I've got a stainless kettle, but my chiller's copper, so that does help in a way, so I don't understand. But I'm just letting you know it does that. Right, I've just sterilised and sanitised this bucket, I should say, not sterilised, sanitised. As long as it's clean and you know there's nothing in there. Your yeast will kill anything if there's any tiny particles you've missed, but you should never have missed any when you've done sanitisation. But your yeast is a killer. It will kill anything. It is an organism that will take over and destroy any other organism if it tries to take up its food, like everything else on this planet. You don't mess with something when it's eating, because it will kill you. Right then, back to you in a bit. Right, I've just put the Irish moss in. I'll show you what the icing glass. This is my mash tun. I've emptied. Pardon. I've emptied a lot of the grain out and got rid of that. Now I'll show you the icing glass, which I use for clearing in the final stage. This is mixed. Right, it comes in a little pot and it's powder. It's like flake. Oh, it stinks, man. You don't want to smell it. It smells horrible. But that's what it looks like when it's been mixed in with water. Keep it in the fridge because it comes unstable over a certain temperature, like 18 degrees or something like that. So you need to keep it cold. And when you've cold crashed and you add that to it, it's already cold and it will sink. Things that are cold sink in solution if they're heavier than when they're in the warm solution. They try to rise in warmth and they sink in cold. When I cold crash this water in a minute, all the heavy lumps that are coming to the surface on the boil should, and they will, just sink to the bottom because they're cold. The instant cold hitting them, you want a good hard cold crash as fast and hard as you can get with all full flow of the water to keep it cool. And then that'll sink it out. Give me a good cold crash. The Irish moss I've just put in, that will attract all the proteins and tannins and any lumpy, tiny, we're talking tiny stuff like little particles, it attaches to it. And then as it cold crashes, it will suck it to the bottom, will suck it to itself, then fall to the bottom. There'll be a nasty sludge. See this here, this is my chiller's inlet. Can you see the steam coming out of this pipe? You don't want to touch any of this. And the reason I've put this fermenter there is that any water that was left in that chiller is turning to steam now and coming out as red hot. You don't want to be near that, you want to just catch it and not touch the outlet or the inlet at the moment because there's no cold going into it. But when I've plumbed it up, we will have cold going in, hot coming out until it does the heat transfer and cools it down. Right, see you in a bit.